Welcome back to another episode of Dragons in America. Are you, the Dracons, the copper-colored cons found here in America? Let's go, man. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comment box. We out of here. Are you the Hebrews in Kalalus? I'm just talking about you, O house of Israel. O Jacob, come let us walk by the light of your one and only Savior. Allow. Let's get it. We're just talking lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham. I'm talking Eleazar, Alaran, Eliakim, son of Hilkiah. We're talking Khan Josiah, messianic kings and queens, servants of the Shamayim. Let's get it, man. Episode 21. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. You're now tapped in with Dragon Canoe. We're steadily rowing and we're constantly flowing. All praises to the Most High. Allow. Let's get it. Episode 21. We out of here one time for the home team. Let's get it, man. I'm just talking Section 107 of the Copyright Act, which provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So let me just set the stage here, Israel. Get the drums going, get the beat flowing. O house of Jacob, come let us walk by the light of your power, for you have forsaken the ways of your people, O house of Jacob, for they are full of practices from the east, and of soothsaying like the Philistines. They abound in customs of the aliens. Their land is full of silver and gold. There is no limit to their treasures. Their land is full of horses. There is no limit to their chariots. And their land is full of idols. They bow down to the work of their hands, to what their own fingers have wrought. But man shall be humble, and mortal brought low. Oh, do not forgive them. Go deep into the rock. Bury yourselves in the ground before the terror of the Most High and His dread majesty. Let's get it, man. We got to set the stage. We're just talking Isaiah 2. Get the flute flowing, get the vibes flowing, man. You know how we do. You're now tapped in with Dragon Canoe. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. We out of here. Get the flute flowing, get the vibes going. Are you, the Dracons, the dragons found here in the Americas? Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments, man. We out of here. Episode 21. I just have to set the stage, Mountains, or the eternal hills, appear to transcend the passage of time, retaining their identity as landmarks for thousands of years in spite of the many changes going on all around them. I look up unto the hills, from whence cometh my strength. These man-made mountain emulators include sacred buildings such as the pyramids and ziggurats, the stupa, and the pagoda, the dragon cave, and also more primitive constructions such as the tump and the cairn. Even the altar in a church or other place of worship is a man-made symbol of a mountain. Altar means high place, right? For I look up unto the hills, from whence cometh my strength. Behind this mountain is a range of mountains 500 years' journey long, and behind the mountain Kaf are 40 worlds, each of one the bigness of this world 40 times told, some of gold and some of silver and some of carnelian. Right? The most famous story about Kaf is told in the book, The Conference of the Birds. This story features the Simurgh, a bird who has existed since the beginning of time and who is the personification of our power, they say. This story features the Simurgh, a bird who has existed since the beginning of time. Are we talking phoenixes here? Are we talking dragons? Let me know what you think. The arduous journey to Kaf, where the Simurgh lives. One by one, the birds find excuses to drop out of the pilgrimage until 30 birds, led by the Hukbo, eventually complete the journey only to discover that they themselves, collectively, are their own divinity. Simurgh means 30 birds. We're talking Zadakim Nistarim, the 36 righteous people. For if they did not exist, the world itself would end. Let's go. Conference of the Birds, the Simurgh, right? Let me know what you think. Leave it though in the comments. Ma, multicolored, a reminder of the holy mountain, Mount Meru. It relates to the spinal column of the body. The spinal column of the body, which, like the mountain, ascends towards the heavens. The spinal column of the body, which, like the mountain, ascends towards the heavens. For the spinal column is the backbone of the human body, symbolic of the world axis and also of the world tree. Symbolized by the great serpent Kundalini, carries the same symbolism as the staff of Asclepius. The spine also represents the ladder that ascends to the heavens and back down again. The spine also represents the ladder that ascends to the heavens and back down again. Right? It symbolizes the turning of the seasons. The planetary sun symbolically represented as it rolled down the hill of time, into the darkness of the winter season. Symbol of a wheeled chariot is ubiquitous and represents the idea of the cycling of the planets. Right? We're living in a wonderful time. We're talking planetary alignments. We're talking direct communication with the Most High. Right? Appears in a golden chariot pulled by lions. Right? Hindu and Celtic beliefs about the wheel coincide. In Hindu, he is called Chakravarti, meaning the Lord of the Wheel, the same name given to the Druid Magruith. The wheel of the Druid Magruith is made of yew wood, appropriate because the yew is the tree of death and rebirth. Legend says that if this wheel ever appears on earth, it will signify the end of the world. Legend says that if this wheel ever appears on the earth, it will signify the end of the world. Just talking Druids. Indeed, their name comes from the old Celtic roots for meaning both tree and truth, with the addition of vision. Therefore, the Druid is effectively described as those who know the tree, those who know the truth. For Druids, all trees were sacred, but the oak was the most important of them all. The groves of the Druids were called Nemeton, a place distinctly different from a normal forest, frequently fenced off within a square, right? Surrounded by a ditch, man. Keep that in your mind. Let's go. We still have a primal belief that the closer man is to the sky, the nearer he is to heaven and to the Creator, right? The shape of a pyramid provides a way for man to achieve this goal. Stepped pyramids culminate in a flat platform where the world of spirit meets the world of matter, the union of spirit and matter, the convergence of the material and the ethereal, right? Ancient Egyptians further demonstrated this idea by another symbol, an inverted pyramid balanced on top of an upright one, also known as the creation sign. This symbol itself represents the same concept as the Star of Dawid, Khan Dawid, the servant of the Most High. As above, so below. As above, so below. Pyramids allow man to become closer to the heavens, right? Let's go. There was also a sacred oak grove at Hebron, where Abraham received messages from Hawa. Where Abraham, your father, received messages from Hawa. The oak is particularly sacred to the Druids, who take their name from the name of the tree Duir. The word for door is a derivative of the same root. The tree symbolizes a door. Right? We're talking guardians of the doors of Israel. Let's go. All right, so we got the Druids in the sacred oak grove, right? At Hebron, where Abraham received messages from Hawa, right? Because we're talking Amaru Khans, copper-colored Khans found here, right? Lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham. It is no coincidence that the age of majority in many countries around the world was traditionally held to be 21, right? For when this person reaches this age, they are given the key to the door, symbolizing the responsibility of adulthood as well as the initiatory unlocking. In the Old Testament, 21, we're just talking episode 21, is the number of perfection and is the number of the attributes of wisdom. Solomon, renowned for his own sagacity, wrote of it thus, saying, I preferred her before all scepters and thrones. We're talking about the wisdom of Khan Saliman, the key to the door, the initiatory unlocking. For King Solomon are a system of wisdom, wrapped up in a small compass, each being expressed in a few words, that it may be more easily remembered, and in metaphorical language, that it may be more entertaining and instructive. Wise men in all ages, in all languages, from the inspired Solomon on his throne, to the benighted druid in his cell. Benighted mean overtaken by darkness or night, existing in a state of intellectual, moral, social darkness, right? So whatever was going on with this druid, he was looked down upon by Khan Saliman, for he was existing in a state of intellectual, moral, social darkness. That doesn't mean all druids are, but it means this particular druid in Khan Saliman's cell was benighted, right? In the ancient world, the mystery cults were those whose secrets were closely guarded and forbidden. Right? The nature of the mystery cults meant that there was a lack of any written material. We're talking the wisdom passed down, right? From when he came forth from the ark, Noah used the book all days of his life until he passed it down to Shem, until finally Khan Saliman arose, right? Meant that there was a lack of any written material or scriptures describing their workings. Secrets passed on orally as the more appropriate way for the arcanum or secret wisdom to be preserved. Right? For Moshe preserved the words of the Torah, right? Kameya, a particular kind of magic square that is intended to incorporate a sigil, right? Kameya, the whole is used as a charm or talisman or as a tool in casting a spell. The Kameya is a Kabbalistic invention, right? For Moshe learned Kabbalah from the angels on the top of the mountain. Let's go. Magic squares can become very elaborate, as in the series called the Kameyas. This particular series described the magic constant number of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets. Kameyas are designed for sigils to be drawn over them or incorporated into them, right? Significant or magical names can be used as well as numbers. One of the most famous is the Sator square, right? Which features in a number of magical treatises, including the Key of Saliman, right? So why does your father, Khan Saliman, keep coming up? I don't know, you tell me, leave a note in the comments. The Torah compares the vowels of the alphabet with the living soul of a human being and says that the consonants, in contrast, belong to the world. Significantly, the vowel symbols are circular in shape, whereas the consonants are square. So think about vowels, right? A, E, I, O, U. You don't connect your tongue, right? But the consonants B, D, C, you connect the tongue and teeth, right? Therefore, the constructed consonants symbolize the world of matter. It's also said that Hawa gave Adam 32 letters, but that some 10 of them were lost. Resulting in the 22-letter alphabet we have today. Let's get it, man. Ike Bakar. This is a substitution or Tamura cipher. The 22 letters of the alphabet are put into a grid of 9 squares, man. So keep that in your mind. We're talking Kameas. We're talking the key of Saliman. We're talking consonants in the Hebrew Aleph Bet, meaning that each square will have 2 characters and some will have 3. The letters can be substituted for any in the same square. A simple cipher, but comprehensible only to those that know what to look for. Ike Bakar is also called the Kabaya of 9 chambers. The Kabaya of 9 chambers, the Ike Bakar alphabet, right? It is a series of squares. Let's go. We're just talking about passing the river, right? One of the magical scripts based on the Hebrew language and known in Latin as Transitus Fluvi, right? Transitus Fluvi, the name may refer to the passage of the Hebrew people across the Euphrates River when they returned from Babylon to rebuild the temple at Jerusalem. The name may refer to the passage of the Hebrew people across the Euphrates when they returned from Babylon to rebuild the temple at Jerusalem. Like Hebrew, the alphabet has 22 characters. Check it out. We're just talking passing the river. Passing the river. The alphabet is imbued by association with Solomon's powers. Said to be the father of Freemasonry, Solomon's polymath skills included the ability to understand the language of birds. We're talking Dragon Kings, right? Said to be the father of Freemasonry. But remember, King Solomon's temple was destroyed, right? So if Solomon is the father, that means that what you might know today as Freemasonry is only a hijack of our father, Khan Saliman, and is used against you, O Hebrews, right? We're talking lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham. But best believe we're going to get all of our knowledge and information back. Let's get it. The letters of the Davidian script are believed to be so infused with the code meaning that they are the very embodiment of mystical power. We're talking Davidian script, right? Let's go. The Hebrew alphabet, or what the Kabbalah calls the Hebrew alphabet, the letters of the angels. Its sacred provenance is explained in the legend that Moshe received it on the top of Mount Sinai. Let's get it. And Moshe received it on the top of Mount Sinai in an instance of direct communication with the Most High. In common with other lettering systems such as the Greek runic and Ogam, each Hebrew letter has specific concepts embedded into it, right? The consonants and the vowels, both mundane and esoteric, right? There is even a more profound aspect to the Hebrew alphabet, though. It is an inseparable part of the cohesive philosophical system of the Kabbalah. The lettering system of the Hebrew alphabet contributes to the encoding of this profound mystery tradition, itself a deeply rooted component of magical custom with tendrils that extend web-like throughout diverse esoteric disciplines. This is all your knowledge, O house of Israel, O Jacob. Let's get it. It is used to communicate with both Hawa and the angels directly. We're talking Enochian. The epithet Enochian came about because Dee believed that the great biblical patriarch Enoch had been the last person to understand the language. We're talking the celestial scribe, Metatron, Enoch, right? This arcane tongue had apparently been lost when Adam was banished from the Garden of Eden. For remember, there are said to be 32 letters, but 10 of them were lost when Adam was cast out. It says that Enoch may be the only person to understand the last of this language, right? If mankind can no longer communicate with the divine creative spirit, then he is lost indeed, truly cast out. Adam's vague memory of the language is said to have resulted in an early form of Hebrew. During this time, Enoch was the only person who could fully understand the language, but the book he wrote describing it was lost in the great flood. Let's go, man. It's deep. The clue that the Ogham tree alphabet is a set of sacred symbols is in its name. Ogham, meaning language. It is named after the Irish Celtic god Ogma, the deity of learning and poetry. Or are we talking Quetzalcoatl, Ogma, learning and knowledge, learning and poetry, who was said to have invented the alphabet itself. Ogham actually means language, so keep that in your mind. Ogham actually means language, right? These letters are broken down into sets of 5, and the whole is grouped together as a grove, the sacred grove at Hebron, where Abraham received messages from Huwa. The sacred oak grove, particularly sacred to the Druids. This symbolic not only of a collection of trees, but also of the sum of knowledge contained in each tree, each smaller part making a greater whole. It is no coincidence that the Celtic words for knowledge and wood sound the same. Let's get it. Oak or duir, meaning doorway. Let's go, man. We're talking Celts, we're talking Aztecs, we're talking copper-colored cons found here. We're talking about the connection between your fathers and all of this history. It is your history, no joke. Calais-Luz was founded in the 1st century by the Babylonian exilarch known as Sylvanus Ogham. Ogham meaning language, Sylvanus meaning Solomon. Solomon II, Babylonian exilarch, Nasi of Mara, ruler of Sumer, Somerset in Britain, a great Hebrew ruler, soldier, and ancestor of the Swan Knights. Barbur Hakatzin, Barbur meaning swan, Hakatzin meaning knights, Swan Knights, Solomon Barber, Sylvanus Ogham, who had a fleet of trading vessels known as the ships of Solomon, or the swan boats. The ships are shaped like a swan with its sails like the wings of a beautiful gliding white swan. Right? We're just talking about the Swan Knights and Sylvanus Ogham, the great Hebrew warrior who defeated the giant American emperor of Ogham, or Ogier, called Drun Antigun. Right? Drun meaning oak, right? Duir meaning door, meaning oak. Druun means oak and describes the stature of Antigun. Right? We're talking Sylvanus Ogham, the great Hebrew warrior who defeated the giant American emperor of Ogham. The Ogham script was named for Sylvanus Ogham, or Solomon Barber, right? Solomon II, Shalom, Sulam, Selim, Silvius, Salvius, Salvo, who brought it from America to Europe. Ogham, where Ogham is the legendary home of the ogres, they say, and I believe that they refer to the Olmec culture of Mexico. Let's go. So why are the Druids connected with the Aztecs, connected with the Hebrews, connected with Mexico, connected to Britain, connected to the family, right? We're talking about lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham. The word rune comes from an Old English or Norse word meaning mystery, secret, or whisper. Rune comes from an Old English meaning mystery, secret, or whisper. There is also a Finnish word, runo, meaning song. The runes themselves were considered to be of divine origin, in common with other Aleph bets. The runes themselves were considered to be of divine origin, in common with other Aleph bets, meaning mystery, secret, whisper, meaning it's not for everybody, right? It's for you, O House of Tingle. We're talking Kabaya of 9 chambers, runic, right? The divinatory properties of the runic alphabet have been explored extensively, although the letters were used for secular as well as spiritual purposes. Unfortunately, the early Christian church destroyed many runic inscriptions. The early Christian church destroyed many runic inscriptions, although there are still fine examples of markings on ancient artifacts. Runo meaning song, mystery, secret, or whisper, said to be of divine origin. And why are they being destroyed by the Christian church? You have to ask a question here, man. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. We out of here for episode 21. We just unlocking the door. The Latin word animus, the Greek animos, and the Sanskrit aniti all mean breath or air. Wow. And refer to the soul, literally an animating factor. The Celts too called the soul the anaman. The Celts too, the Druids, called the soul the anaman, which is closely linked to the word for harmony and also to the mother goddess Anaman, breath or air, your mother and father above. Wow, let's go. The act of taking in breath is quite literally equated with inspiration. The breath is also equated with sound, right? We're talking runo, we're talking sound, we're talking breath, we're talking of divine origin. The two being inextricably linked in the act of creation. For the Druids, the breath carried magical properties. And breathing or blowing onto something often constitutes a part of magical practice in mystical traditions all over the world, right? Let's go. Collectively, the elements within the Kala chakra represent the spiritual and material life of man. We're talking the union of spirit and matter, right? The elements, the wheel of time, the emptiness of the void, the wheel of time, the emptiness of the void, right? For if this wheel ever appeared on earth, it would signify the end of the world. It has inspired the calculations of calendars and astrologers. The order of bards, ovates, and druids placed the three lines and the three dots within three concentric rings, right? For in Hebrew, the vowels are circular, whereas the consonants are square, right? We're talking about the wheel of time. Let's go. Placing it within protective magical circles, man. There's levels to this. Let me know what you think, man. I'm just popping off. The Awen is related to many new Druid movements, meaning inspiration, breath meaning inspiration or essence, related to the Britain symbol called the Triban, and with a nod to the Trishul, the trident held by the Hindu deity Shiva. So let's connect the dots, right? We're talking Hindus, we're talking Druids, Celts, Aztecs, Mexicans, Amarucans, man. Why is it all connected? The Awen is composed of three convergent rays, like paths leading to a high point, right? The eternal hills. Chakra is a Sanskrit word meaning wheel or circle, and protective circles for the vowels in Hebrew are circular, whereas the consonants are square. Connect the dots. Chakra is a Sanskrit word. Hindu, we're talking Brahmins. Talking Brahmin, we're talking Abraham, meaning wheel or circle. Any depiction of the chakras contains the symbol of the great serpent Kundalini, curled 3.5 times at the base of the spine, which relates to the primal creative energy that rises up through healthy chakras when a person is ready to be awakened to such an experience. The serpent Kundalini through the base of the spine. The spine leads up to the heavens, like mountains, like pyramids, like pagodas, dragon cave at the base of your spine that leads to the Shamayims, right? Represents physical and spiritual energy that lives half dormant at the base of the spine. The Kundalini serpent is coiled into 3 circles, 3 protective, magical circles like the vowels of the Hebrew language, right? Similar to the Ouroboros, the Kundalini energy is female, and when awakened systematically by techniques such as yoga and meditation, she spirals up the spine via the chakras, via the circles, via the wheels, where she joins the male energy that comes down to meet it from above. The descending masculine energy symbolizes the consciousness of the unity of the universe. Let's go, man. Ouroboros, the circle and the serpent, the circle and the serpent, the magical circle, the wheels, right? We're talking Hebrew vowels, right? Are circular in shape. However, sometimes the symbol is constructed of a dragon rather than a serpent. Sometimes the symbol is constructed of a dragon rather than a serpent, or a pair of snakes that swallow one another's tails. The dragon and the serpent are closely connected. The dragon and the serpent are closely connected. Both creatures often guard treasure of some kind. Both creatures often guard treasure of some kind. We're talking guardian of the doors of Israel. It's all in the language. Wow, your mother and father above, right? The true cherubim are imposing winged beings who guard. The true cherubim are imposing winged beings who guard. Cherubim are imposing winged beings who guard. When Hawa dispatched angels to Abraham, right? And they were called men, they were called Anashim. When they destroy, they're called Malakim, they're called Seraphim, right? The angels between them, which turned not when they went, were called Ophanim. Wheels were called Ophanim. Wheels, right? From Ezekiel. The most elevated between them have been called Cherubim, imposing winged beings who guard, man. Come on. Let's get it. Episode 21 for the home team. Ear, right? The way to receive information was orally. Before it was common for people to be able to read and write, the way to receive information was orally. Therefore, the ear is symbolic of knowledge. The ear is symbolic of knowledge, right? It is shaped like a spiral or a whorled shell, a shape not dissimilar to that of the vulva. Therefore, the ear is also a symbol of birth. In a Hindu story, Karma, the son of the sun god Surya, was born from the ear of his mother. Let's go, man. In the symbolism of ancient Egypt, the ear is associated with the cycle of life, right? With the right ear receiving the air of life, and the left ear the air of death. So keep that in mind. We whisper in the right ear is the air of life. To whisper in the left ear, we're talking runo, we're talking sound or song, and the left ear, the air of death. Let's go. For the Ankh, which they already essentially the Tau cross, we're talking Hebrews, essentially the Tau cross surmounted by a loop or circle, like the Tau, right? They can't talk about the Ankh without talking about the Tau. Like the Tau, the Ankh is a letter, meaning life, right? Circular, meaning protected. Circular, like the vowels in the Hebrew alphabet. Like the Tau, the Ankh is a letter, specifically meaning life. Come on, we're talking circular, we're talking ears, we're talking the air of life, man. The Egyptian Ankh, the Tau cross with the circle on top, could be construed as a womb symbol. Both the labyrinth and the spiral too can be interpreted as secret signs of the womb. Both the labyrinth and the spiral too can be interpreted as secret signs of the womb, the air of life, right? The same idea is echoed in the spiral dances of Native Americans. Right? Spiraling back to the symbol on the snail shell, it is fascinating to note that for the Mayans, the winter solstice was considered to be the start of the year. For the Mayans, the winter solstice was considered to be the start of the year, just before real time began. We're talking Hebrew New Year, which is not in the dead of winter, but is in the beginning of spring. The symbol that represented this concept was the snail, the spiral, right? Could be construed as a womb symbol on its shell, inspired by the Mayan sign for zero, circle, protective, magical circles, right? Let's go, man. Let's go, man. It's about to get deep, man. So, put your seatbelt on, man. We gotta talk about it. The northern power, Tezcatlipoca, was the sun god, the positive aspect of whom was that he ripened the harvest. The negative, that he also brought drought. Appropriately, Tezcatlipoca, right, sometimes appeared as a shadow or as a jaguar. At night, he stalked the earth in a great cloak. Tlaloc, the eastern god, governed the mountains and water in all its forms. He watered the earth with 4 vast jugs of liquid, and each of these jugs symbolized a different aspect of the seasons: growth, blight, frost, and destruction. Tlaloc was the deity to whom most sacrifices were made. We have to address it, O house of Israel. For if you follow and keep the commandments of your Most High, your mother and father above, right? For you shall have no powers before me, right? Let alone, horrifically, babies were purchased in order to be killed in his honor. The babies were cooked and eaten by the priests. The more the babies and children wept, the better the sacrifice was considered to be. So that's why I popped off with Isaiah, man, because we got to talk about what happens when you fall off the path, man, and you start worshiping other gods, man. Let's go, man. We're not scared to address it, man. We have to. The Western god, Quetzalcoatl, is personified as a snake bird, was one of the more important Aztec deities associated with learning and knowledge. A civilizing influence, right? Because what we just read wasn't civilized. A civilizing influence on humankind. Quetzalcoatl decided to leave his people, driven out by other gods, right? And in my opinion, Quetzalcoatl is the one and only Moshe, right? He burned his house and hid his treasure and headed east into the rising sun. A civilizing influence, driven out by other gods, man. Let's go. Let's connect the dots. One of the measures taken by the Egyptians to restrict the growth of the Hebrews was to order the death of all newborn Hebrew males. One of the measures taken by the Egyptians to restrict the growth of the Hebrews was to order the death of all newborn Hebrew males. So does this child, is what we're talking about, has to do with this? Is it connected to you still? According to tradition, Moshe's parents, Amram and Jochebed, right, hid him for 3 months and then set him afloat on the Nile, right? And he was found by Pharaoh's daughter, right? Let's get it. Then the oppressive Pharaoh noted in Exodus was Seti the first, and the Pharaoh during the Exodus was Ramses the second. These people look like you. But again, the measures taken by the Egyptians to restrict the growth of the Hebrew males was to order the death of all newborn Hebrew males, right? Let's go. Moreover, Edom and Moab, petty kingdoms. Moreover, Edom and Moab, petty kingdoms in Transjordan, forced Moshe to circle east of them. Let's go, man. Thus the sword was the agent that planted them in the land of Canaan, and as they became disobedient and after ages and forgot the power which had befriended them, right? They soon forsook the power who had placed them in a fruitful country abounding in corn and oil and wine. Like the ancient inhabitants, bowed themselves before their idols, man. Bowed themselves before their idols and purified their sons and daughters by the fire before the altar and image of Moloch, a disgusting rite of which Haram Abith, the widow's son, is said to have purged. A disgusting rite of which Haram Abith, the widow's son, was supposed to have purged, but instead he was covetous of Khan Saliman, right? Is said to have purged the idolatry worship of Tyre. Moshe had commanded the Israelites when they had passed the river, we're talking passing the river, They should set up great stones or pillars at Mount Ebal, because Moshe was forced to circle east of the petty kingdoms of Edom and Moab, and covering them with plaster should write upon them the records of the law. First law being, thou shalt have no powers before Hawa. Let's go, man. The sun god, Apupuncha, head of the day, was the ancestor of all Incas and had a human form with the flaming golden halo, right? The moon goddess, Mamakia, was the wife of Apupuncha, like her husband, so they're talking mother and father above, right? We're talking Incas, right? We're talking Montezuma, like her husband. She was represented as a human figure with a silver halo. Her main role was the protector of married women. The protector of married women. Other heavenly divinities that surrounded by the sun god and the moon goddess were the rainbow, Kucha, and Katakil, the deity of thunder and lightning. His sling and mace, echoing the traditional weapons, right? His sling and mace. Are we talking Kandawi? Let's go, man. Coatlicue herself is an important personage within the Aztec pantheon. Coatlicue is an important personage within the Aztec pantheon, meaning mother of the gods. She is seen wearing a skirt made of serpents and a necklace of human hearts and skulls that she might have borrowed from Kali, the great Indian deity. Coatlicue is the great earth goddess who, again, like Kali, so they're connecting it for you, is the creator as well as the destroyer. Coatlicue is the great earth goddess who, again like Kali, is the creator as well as the destroyer, right? We're talking Seal of Saliman, right? Fire is the male element and water is female. The inverted triangle is also the symbolic representation of the yoni. We're talking Star of Dawi, right? We're talking Khan Saliman and Queen Sheba, right? In India, the hexagram is called the Shatkona and represents the energies of Shiva and Kali locked in a constant embrace. Let's go. The quality that Shamash is best known for, we're just talking Hindus, as well as his courage and vigor, is that of justice. As the sun brings physical light to the world, so Shamash chases away the shadows of injustice and makes crime impossible, therefore clarifying the truth, right? Shamash could also dispense with demons, as he dispensed with the darkness. These demons took the form of illness or misfortune. Shamash was known by the epithet of Judge of the Heavens and the Earth. Judge of the heavens and the earth. He often appears seated, right? Are we talking Metatron? Are we talking King Saliman? I mean, always the posture of a very important power, holding a scepter and a ring. Holding a scepter and a ring, right? The following is the drift of the Testament of Solomon. King Solomon is engaged in the work of building the temple, and in him dwells a supernatural power, the wisdom. In him dwells a supernatural power, the wisdom, also called the spirit and glory of the Most High. Hua, right? In virtue of the imminence in him of this power, Solomon has power over the spirits of the air, of the earth's surface, and of the netherworld. The testament opens rather abruptly with the descent of the vampire spirit Orneus upon Solomon's servant. Solomon goes into the nearly completed temple and prays for the help to the Lord Sabaoth, talking about the Most High. Grace is granted him, and the Archangel Michael brings him a ring. Are we talking Metatron brings him a ring, of which the stone was engraved with the Pentalpha. This ring endows its possessor with power over all demons. Let's go, man. We're talking about your mothers and fathers, man. Queen Sheba and Khan Saliman, who had power over all the earth, because he had the wisdom, man, of the mother above. Sarasvati is the wife of Brahma. We know we're talking Brahma, we're talking Abraham, the god of gods, they say, who created the world, right? Or is this all just reflections of your mother and father above? Or is this all your ancestors being venerated by people who didn't share the same power? We're talking Sarasvati, the goddess of wisdom, and knowledge. We're talking King Solomon, renowned for his wisdom and knowledge, right? Sarasvati, as befits a feminine deity, is a water goddess and was in ancient times also personified as a river. as a river. A swan sometimes accompanies Sarasvati. A swan sometimes accompanies Sarasvati. This bird, is, if offered a mixture of milk and water, will select only the milk, therefore symbolizing discrimination, meaning that your mother and father above only care about you, O house of Israel, right? They only care about the milk. They're not worried about the water, man. A land flowing with milk and honey, man. The swan's feather appears in the cloaks of druids. The swan's feather appears in the cloaks of druids. So you tell me why the Celts, Hindus, Druids, Amarucans are all connected. The Aztecs, you tell me. Leave a note in the comments, man. Let's go. Talking about the Swan Knights, the Barbar Hakazim. For swans pulled the chariots of the sun. Right? We're talking Barbar Hakazim, Swan Knights, Solomon Barber, Sylvanus Ogam. Swans pulled the chariot of the sun. The otherworldly appearance of the swan has led to its being regarded as one of those shape-shifting birds. One of those shape-shifting birds who can reside between two worlds. One, the union of spirit and matter, the ethereal being, the true cherubim, imposing winged beings who guard, right? We're talking about the goose, right? As the bird that laid the egg, they say, right? The Parahamsa, the supreme swan. The appearance of the swan, an ethereal, otherworldly creature, floating gracefully upon the calm waters that resemble the spirit world and the eternal feminine, right? Its beauty make it a symbol of light, both of the direct light of the sun and reflected light of the moon. Despite plenty of evidence to the contrary, the swan is believed to be silent until its moment of death, meaning its song is said to be the first and last sound it utters. The first and last sound. Rune, swan, coming from the Anglo-Saxon word meaning sounder. Let's go. Sound the horn, O house of Israel. And let's get it, episode 21. Right? Sometimes powers take on human form in order to assist humanity in some way. These beings are called avatars. Right? In contrast to Christianity, where Christ is believed to only have to come to earth one time. Again, he wants to, take control, man. Say that I'm the only one. We're talking about a whole family affair here. A family. We're talking lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham, man. We're just talking avatars. There has always been more than one. In Hinduism, the avatar can reincarnate repeatedly, as and when necessary. According to Hebrew law and history, there has always been more than one Messiah. Right? And several religions call him the Avatar, the Mahdi, the Christ, and the Hebrews refer to him as the Messiah. There has always been more than one. The Creator would send a Messiah or Savior when the people cried unto him and repented of their wrongdoings. Right? The aforementioned military generals, right? We're talking about your fathers. We're talking Eleazar of Aran, Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, Khan, Josiah, right? Leaders in the sense that they fought captivity and oppression and gathered the Israelites back to their land in the law of Moshe. I repeat, the Judean concept of Messiah is a fighting leader for defense of justice, right? Who must arise from the house of David and meditate on Torah, the law, who occupies himself with the commandments, observes the precepts prescribed in the written and oral law, prevail upon Israel to walk in the way of Torah. He is beyond all doubt the Messiah. Let's go, man. Talking Kali, a loving mother, but also a vengeful destroyer. Kali is instantly recognizable. Her name means dark. She appears with dark blue or black skin, long disheveled tresses of black hair, furious red eyes, sharp teeth, a protruding tongue, and her distinctive necklace of human skulls. For she is a loving mother, but also a vengeful destroyer, right? Her name meaning dark, right? Kali is often depicted standing over a corpse In each of her four hands she carries a sword, a severed head, a trident or trishul, and a kapaya or skull cup that catches the blood from the head. Again, don't play with Kali, a loving mother, but also a vengeful destroyer. Let's get it, man. We're just talking about your mother and father above. Now therefore, ye children, hearken unto me, for happy are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not. Happy is the man or woman that hearkeneth to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. Waiting at the posts of my doors, the guardian of the doors of Israel. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and obtaineth favor of the Most High. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and obtaineth favor of the Most High. But he that misseth me wrongeth his own soul. But he that misseth me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death, for she is a caring mother and a vengeful destroyer. But he that misseth me wrongeth his own soul. And all they that hate me love death. All praises to the Most High. Halal. Wow, we're out of here. Episode 21. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. You're now tapped in with Dragon Canoe. We're steadily rowing and we're constantly flowing. Let's go.